Hey friends, how's it? Everybody's good, right? Right. That's awesome. Guys and girls, today we got a funny little daf. The Gemara continues to discuss different remedies for different things. It's kind of interesting. So there's not really much more to say than that. So friends, here we go. Daf Kuftes Amud Beis, all the way at the bottom. Well, almost all the way. Second to the bottom line. Haman de Tarke Chivya. Okay, if we have one of our friends and he gets bit by a snake. Lacey Ubra de Chamr Chivarta. Okay, of course, take the fetus of a white donkey, Vilikare, tear it up, Vilosve Ilave, and put it and put it on the snake wound. Vanimile de lo Ishtikach Treifa. Now this only works, of course, if the mother was not a treifa. If the mother was a treifa, it's not going to work. Haubar kasha de Pumbedisa. There's a certain government employee in Pumbedisa. He was somebody, Rashi calls him a mamuna lamelech v'Yisrael haya. He was appointed to the king, so I guess he was a representative of the king, and he was a yid. And he lived in Pumbedisa. Okay. The Tarke Chivya, and he got bitten by a snake. So now there were 13 white donkeys in Pumbedisa. And they tore all them open, hoping to remove the fetus and apply it to this fellow, but they all turned out to be trephis. Now there was another white donkey in Pumbedisa, but it was on the other side of Pumbedisa. Ada Azle Maisila, until they went to go and bring over that white donkey. Achla Arye, that white donkey, as fate have it, was eaten by a lion. Amarlu Abaye, so Abaye then chimed in and said to them, now remember, Abaye was one of the Rosh Yeshiva of Pumbedisa. Friends, who else was a Rosh Yeshiva in Pumbedisa? Rav Yosef, Rabbah, Rav Yehuda. I think Rav Yehuda may have been the first Rosh Yeshiva over there. I think once Abaye died, I think Rava, maybe, I don't know if Rava was the Rosh Yeshiva in Pumbedisa for a little bit, or maybe the Yeshiva in Pumbedisa went over to where Rava was in Mechoza. That's where I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, Abaye was the Rosh Yeshiva in Pumbedisa. So Abaye said to them, Dilma Chivya de Rabbanon Tarke, maybe it wasn't a regular snake, maybe it was a Chivya de Rabbanon, a snake of the rabbis. What does that mean, a snake of the rabbis? Let's see. Teleis lu asusa, that the snake of the rabbis does not have a remedy. Dichsev, as the pasuk says in Koheles, Uforitz geder yishchenu nachash, that somebody who breaches a fence shall be bitten by a snake, meaning somebody who violates, like a nidur of the Rabbanon, somebody who violates something that the Rabbanon said not to do, and he does it anyways, he doesn't listen to the rabbis, so he'll get bitten by a snake. And those kinds of snake bites, you can bring as many white donkey fetuses as you want and apply it to the wound, it's not going to work. Okay, Amrulay in Rebbe, so they responded to by, actually this was a chivya de Rabbanon. That when Rav died, so now there's a different girsa that Taka says Rabbah, which is nice because Rabbah, as we mentioned a minute ago, lived in Pumbedisa. He's one of the other Rosh Yeshiva in Pumbedisa. But in any event, Rashi has the girsa of Rav, so we'll stick with Rav. Rav, of course, was in Surah. Okay, that when Rav passed away, Gazer Rav Yitzchak bar Bisna. So Rav Yitzchak bar Bisna. Now, before I started learning Daf Yomi and before Babylon Talmud, I had a chavrusa with a very close friend of mine, Yosef Goodman Levitt. We learned together for about 8 years. We were doing Amud Yomi, a little different thing, but anyways, there was a Bar Bisna, I think, came up in Masechta Ksubis on Daf Samach Beis, I think. I'd have to look it up, Lamaisa. But we remembered, or he had this thing, he was going to remember that it was Daf Samach Beis because Bar Bisna is like Samach Beis kind of. And somehow I guess it worked. We kind of remember it. I think that may be, guys, look this up. This could be really interesting. You know the story with Rabbi Akiva when he went to study Torah for, was it 40 years, 20 years, 12 years, 24 years? I think it was 24 years. That story, I think, is over there. I think that's on Daf Samach Beis of Masechet Ksubis, and he remembered it because of Bar Bisna. We'd have to look it up, but I think that's where it is. It's definitely close to there. But I think it was Daf Samach Beis, right? That was the whole point of Bar Bisna being Samach Beis. Okay, friends, let's move on. So Dileka, so after Rab passed away, so Yitzchak Bar Bisna, so he made a gezerah, Dileka dilimtaye asa v'gidme veilule betavla. So Rashi says that during that year, for the course of that year, they had this enactment that out of mourning for Rav, nobody would bring hadassim and palm branches, and that was something that they would do at chasanis, they would do at weddings. They would dance in front of the chasan kala with hadassim and palm branches and bitavla with different bells and percussion instruments. Ve'azal iu amte asa v'gidme leveilula bitavla, and this government official, he ignored the enactment and he did bring to the wedding hadassim and palm branches and was dancing with these bells and things, in defiance or regardless of the enactment of the Rabbanan, and Tarki Chivya Vamis, and sure enough, he was bitten by the snake, and because they couldn't find any remedy for it, he died from the bite. So if somebody gets wrapped up by a snake, what does he do? Linchos lemaya, so you should go to the water. V'lischov dikula aresha, then you should overturn a basket above the head of the snake. Ulahad kemine, and then you should lower down the basket slowly towards the head of the snake. And then the snake is going to rise up towards the basket and go into the basket. V'chisalik ilave, and then when the snake goes onto the basket, lishde lemaya, you should throw the basket into the water, v'lislok v'leise, and he should run for his life. Somebody who a snake is very upset with. A snake is upset with a fellow. So if this fellow is with his friend, so lirkive arba garmide, so let him go jump on his friend's shoulders and let his friend walk for 4 amas, so that this particular fellow won't have any tracks for the snake to smell. I guess the snake is attracted to his particular footsteps. So if he jumps on his chapsa tremp with his friend, jumps on his shoulders for 4 amas, so then the snake won't know what to do. Ve'ilo, but if that's not an option, maybe his friend isn't over there, or maybe his friend doesn't want to carry him, maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason, this isn't an option. So, lishoer nagara, see if you can maybe jump over a ditch. Alright? Ve'ilo, and if that's not an option, li'aver nahara, see if you can cross a river. Okay? Uvilelia, and then when you go to sleep at night, los ve'lepurye a'arba chavisa, put your bed on top of 4 barrels. Okay? Meaning one leg, each leg, assuming your bed has 4 legs, so each leg goes on top of a different barrel. V'nigane be'kochve, and then sleep out in the open, under the stars, not under a roof where a snake can get on the roof and lunge down at you. V'laise dalid shunre v'lisvinu ba'arba kare defurye, and then take 4 cats and tie them to the legs of the bed. V'leise shachve v'lishdei, and then take little twigs and all sorts of things and throw them on the floor. D'chishame kale achlele, so that if the snake comes close by, so the cats will hear the snake kind of crawling or slithering, whatever you call that, on these little twigs and stuff, and they're going to make noise, and then the cats will come and they will eat the snake. And this fellow will be able to continue sleeping peacefully. So if you have a snake running after a fellow, so then lirid be chalsa, so what this fellow should do is he should run in sand, because he will be able to outrun the snake in the sand. I guess he can move more efficiently in sand than a snake can. Ha'itza, okay, this gets interesting. Ha'itza dechazya chivya v'lo yada iyayiv daite ilava ilo yayiv daite ilava. So if you have a woman and she saw a snake and she doesn't know if the snake saw her and was attracted to her and wants to sleep with her. So tishalach mana v'nishadye kame. So what does she do? She just passed the snake and she's like not sure, am I on the snake's radar? Does he want to sleep with me? So she needs to figure that out to know if she's in danger or not. So how does she figure that out? So she has to remove her clothing and throw her clothing in front of the snake. If the snake is very interested in her clothing, well then yeah, she is on her radar. She is on the snake's radar. But if the snake is not interested in her clothing, well then she's good to go. I guess she could probably just put back on her clothing and keep on moving. But what if the snake did show interest in her clothing? Now what? Alright, well, tishamesh kame. Well, bring her husband over there and sleep with him in front of the snake, and then I guess that the message will be clear to the snake, like, Mr. Snake, this isn't going to work between you and me. Or Rashi says that the snake will then, on its own, not be interested in her anymore when he sees her sleeping with her husband. Okay. Those who say, those who say, actually, no, what do you mean? That's just going to make it worse. Right? You have this snake. The snake is attracted to this woman, and then he's seeing her having relations with her husband. He's going to want to be involved as well. So, Ella tishkol mimazia umitufra. So rather what she should do is, now there isn't necessarily logical reason for this. This is more of like an incantation kind of thing. So what she should do is she should take from her hair or from her from her nails, vitishde bay, and throw them at the snake vitema and say, Distana ana, I am a nida. And that will, then the snake will not be interested any longer. Okay. But what happens if things kind of went a step further? Ha'itza de ayulba chivya. Okay. Now, what happens if you have a woman that not only was the snake interested in her, but the snake actually managed to get inside of her, to crawl up her legs and get inside of her. Okay? So lifsa, so what she has to do is she has to open her legs, vilisvua atarte chavisa, and then sit on two barrels, vilese bisra shmeina vileshte agumre, and then take fatty meat and throw this meat on coals and heat up the meat. Basically what we want to do is we want to so the snake is entirely inside of her. So what we have to do is we have to get the snake out of her. So the way that we're gonna sort of the mahalach that we're gonna take is, if we create a situation, an environment outside that smells very, very good, the snake will be motivated to leave this woman and see what is smelling so good outside. So bring fatty meat, vilishde agumre, and put it on some coals. Vilese agana detachle v'chamra rechsana, and bring a basket full of cress and very fragrant wine. Vilosvu hasam vilitrokinu ba'de adade, and then put it beneath her, between the barrels, and mix them together. Okay. Vilinko tzav sabyada. Now she should take some tongs, so that when the snake comes out, I guess she'll be able to chop the snake. The chimerech recha nafik v'asi, and then so that when the snake now smells all this good barbecue and wine and all that good stuff that's happening, the snake's going to want to come out and see what's going on. At which point, the woman will grab the snake by the tongs, v'lishkale v'likalia benura, and then take the snake, throw it into the fire, throw it into the coals, and that's the end of the snake. The ilo hadar ilava, because if you don't burn up this snake and kill it, well, then it's just going to want to go back to this woman. Very interesting. Continues the Gemara. Kola ochlin chule. Okay. We said that you can eat any foods on Shabbos. Okay. When it says you can eat any foods, right, even if it's for refuah, as long as it's a regular food, you can eat it. What's it coming to include? The isuye tchol l'shinayim, to include eating spleen in the interest of benefiting your teeth. Okie dokie. And Rashi points out that even though it might be bad for your intestines, and therefore people don't necessarily eat it, but nonetheless you could still eat spleen because it's good for your teeth. And you can eat vetch because and it's good for your intestines. Okay, even though, as Rashi points out, it might not be so great for your teeth, and I guess maybe for that reason people don't eat it. When it says you could drink any drinks, any liquids, so what's that coming to include? The isuye me tzalofin b'chometz. That's coming to include water that caper fruit was soaked in, and then you mix that with vinegar. So you can even drink that. Amar le Ravina le Rava. Oh, okay, so Ravina asks Akasha to Rava, he says, Ma'u lishtos meraglaim b'Shabbos. That's nice. What did we say yesterday about meraglaim? We said something, right? And who said that? Where even was that? Was that over here? I don't know, no, I'm not seeing it. Alright. We'll have to see. I wonder if that was also like Ravina. Anyways. So, it says Ravina to Rava. Where are we again? So, it said Ravina to Rava, Ma'u lishtos meraglaim b'Shabbos. Can you drink pish on Shabbos? Amarle Tanina. So, Rava said, well, we have a Mishnah. What does the Mishnah say? Kol mashkin shosa. You could drink any mashkin, any drinks. Meraglaim lo shasu inshe. But people don't drink urine. So, no. Sorry, dude. Wait till after Shabbos. Fine. Chutz mimei dikalim. So now the Mishnah said, however, you're not allowed to drink palm tree water. Okay? Tana chutz mimei dikarim. We have a brisa that says, however, that you're not allowed to drink the water of dikarim, not dikalim, like lidkor, to stab. Man detana mei dikarim, shem dokrim es amara. So Man Amu says, mei dikarim, stabbing waters, it's because they stabbed the gallbladder. Okay. Man Amar mei dikalim, and those who say mei dikalim, sheyotza mishnei dikle, because it's these waters that come from between two palm trees. Okay, skip the next three words as the Go Sabach removes them. Amarabba bar Beruna, tarte talae ika b'mayrava. Says Rabba bar Beruna, there are these two palm trees in Eretz Yisrael. V'nafka ena de maya mi benayu, and there is a spring of water that flows in between these two palm trees. Now, check this out, friends. It's like a cleanse. It's like an intestinal cleanse. You know, people do those cleanses that just clears out your intestines. So that's what this is. So, kasakama, when you drink your first cup of this water from between these two palm trees in Eretz Yisrael, mirape, so it kind of loosens everything up in your digestive system. Idach mishalshal, and then the second cup that you drink gives you diarrhea and it clears everything out. And listen to this, friends. V'idach kiechi de'aile hachi nafke. Wawa wiwa. And then the third cup of this water, just like they came in very clear, so they also leave your body very, very clear. Mamish, the second cup, mamish cleared out everything from your digestive system. And the third cup already, just like it comes into your body, clear. So it leaves your body clear because your digestive system is 100% new, like the day you were born. I don't even know if it was like clear the day you're born. I don't really know how that stuff works when you're like inside your mother's belly. What's going on in your intestines? Are they being used then? I don't know. Friends, let's move on. Where are we? Amar Ula, said Ula. The Didi Shasi Shichur de Bavloi Umaile Minayu. Very interesting. So, the Gemara so the Babylonian Talmud, of course, in Bavel, so they were talking about these trees in Eretz Yisrael that were really good for clearing out your digestive system. Now, Ula, who's from Eretz Yisrael, so for him, he goes to Bavel and he's raging about this Babylonian beer, meaning I guess he has experience with these palm trees in Bavel, in Eretz Yisrael, because he's from there, but he experienced Babylonian beer, and he was very impressed by how great they were for clearing out his digestive tract. Right, so Shichot Bavlai Umayli Minayun, and he claims that this Babylonian beer was even better than this water from in between the palm trees. But that, of course, is only if you haven't drinking this, I guess this beer at least, for 40 days. But if you have, then they're not as effective, I guess. Rav Yosef Amar Zeisoma Mitzri. So Rav Yosef says that what is Zeisoma Mitzri? Tilsa Saire, it's 1/3 barley. Vitilsa Kurtame, it's 1/3 saffron. Vitilsa Milcha, and it's 1/3 salt. Rav Papa Amar Tilsa Chite, Vitilsa Kurtame, Vitilsa Milcha. Rav Papa says it's 1/3 wheat and 1/3, right? Meaning Rav Yosef said 1/3 barley, 1/3 saffron, 1/3 salt. Rav Papa is saying 1/3 wheat, 1/3 saffron, 1/3 salt. V'simanich, and how do you remember which one is Rav Yosef's opinion? Easy. Sisane. Okay, just remember the word Sisane, and then there's like two samachs in Sisane, and one samach represents Rav Yosef, the other samach represents Seorah, that Kila Rav Yosef says Saire, which is barley. That's how you could remember it. V'shasilu bein davcha la'atzarta, and it's good to drink Zeisum HaMitzri between Pesach and Shavuos. The kamet marpile udrafi kametle. If you're constipated, if you have things that are stuck in your digestive tract from Pesach, well, it'll loosen it up. And if you have things that are a little bit too loose in your digestive tract, so it'll sturdy them up. It'll get the balance just right in your digestive tract. Oh, says the Mishnah of Chos Ikrin. Okay, the Mishnah moved on to this Kos Ikrin. So what's Kos Ikrin? So it seems it's some kind of, I guess we're going to see exactly what it's made out of, but it's just some kind of drink, and there does seem to be some kind of part of it, or some kind of characteristic of it, that it makes women barren. Now, yeah, you see it also in like the Chumash, like in the early Parshas in Bereshis, that these like men would have two wives, one for having children with, and one for just sleeping with, and the one that for just sleeping, they would drink this Kos Ikrin, so that they would be barren. So let's see this Kos Ikrin thing. So my Kos Ikrin, Amr Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Laise Maskal Zuza Koma Alexandria. So what you do is you take 1 zuz worth of Koma Alexandria, okay? Some kind of sap of Egyptian trees, I guess. Maskal Zuza Gabya Gila, and then, I don't know, one zuz worth of alum, I don't know what that is. Maskal Zuza Kurkama Rishka, some kind of 1 zuz worth of like some kind of Eastern saffron, I don't know. But basically, you use these ingredients that I don't know what they are, and you make a Kos Ikrin. Okay, and you chop them all up together. Now, the zava, okay, so let's say you have a zava. What's a zava? So, oh, wow. I feel like we never really got into no, we've talked about zavs and zavas, right? So a zava is basically, when it comes to the halachas of nida, so a woman who sees dam nida, so then she becomes a nida for 7 days. Now, for the next 11 days, if she sees, 3 days in a row, or what was it even? Yeah, if she sees blood during those 11 days for 3 days in a row, so then she becomes a zava. So if she's a zava, so then she can drink this Kos Ikrin to, I guess, because then what happens is that once she's a zava, she has to have 7 days without seeing any blood at all. So if, I guess she's a zava, and I guess she doesn't want to see any blood, so that she could become not a zava. So, well, one option is to drink this Kos Ikrin. And then, so if it's for a zava, then tlasa bichamra v'lo mi'akra. So what you could do is you could take all these 3 ingredients and you mix them together with wine, and I guess it will prevent any blood, and also she won't become barren. Okay? Liyarkona, but if it's to heal jaundice, well then train b'shichra u'mi'aker. Well then you don't put all 3 of them in wine, rather you put 2 of these ingredients, I guess any 2 of them, in beer, but there's a side effect in that she will become barren. Alright. L'zava tilsa. So now we're gonna talk about all sorts of different remedies for a zava. Great. So if you have a zava and she wants to, I guess, make sure that she's not going to see any dam. So here are all sorts of different things that she could try. So tlasa b'chamra v'lo mi'akra. So if she's a zava, so then we said that you could put 3 of these ingredients in wine and drink them together, and then she won't become barren. V'ilo, but if that doesn't work, or if she doesn't have these ingredients, or like me, she doesn't know what these ingredients are. So laisi tlasa kapize shamche parsai. So bring 3 of these like vessels where apparently these vessels that can hold 3 logan. Okay, 3 lugan. Right. I feel like singular is log and plural is lugan. Okay. So he brings these 3 vessels worth of Persian onions. Vinishla bechamra, and then you boil them in wine. Vinishkaye, and then you drink it. Vinemala, and say to her, kum mizovich, stop being a zava, and then hopefully that should work. Ve'ilo, and if it doesn't work, well then, losva aparjas derachim, so send her out to the crossroads. Vilinkita kasa de chamra, and she should take with her a cup of wine, biyada, in her hand. Vilese inish me'achora v'liboasa, and then let somebody sneak up behind her and scare her. V'leimala, and say to her, kum mizovich, stop being a zava. Okay. Ve'ilo, and if that doesn't work, well, laise buna de chamuna, so then bring a fistful of cumin, uvuna de morika, and then another fistful of saffron, uvuna de shavlilta, and another fistful of fenugreek. Vinishloch bechamra, and boil them all together in wine. Vinishkaye, and give her, and let her drink this potion. V'nema la, and say to her, kum mizovich, stop being a zava. Ve'ilo, and if that doesn't work, laise shisin shi'e didana, okay, bring 60 seals of a barrel, okay, v'lishve, and then like soak them and lay them all over her body. V'lema la kum mizovich, and say to her, stop being a zava. V'ilo, and if that doesn't work, so leise pashtina, so then bring like some kind of like grass, v'lishlok bichamra, and boil that in wine, v'lishve, and spread it out on her body, v'nemela, and say to her, kum mizovich, and say, stop being a zava. V'ilo, and if that doesn't work, leise charnoga de higsa romisa, I don't know, bring some kind of something that grows on Roman thorn bushes. All right, maybe like skip this one because I don't know like what Roman meaning. Yeah, maybe just if this one doesn't work, try one of the. I don't know, whatever it is. If you know what Roman thorn bushes are, so then this you could try this one. So take like some Roman thorn bushes or something, and then vilikale, burn them. Vilizba b'shachke dechitana b'kaita. Then if it's the summer, so then take the ashes and spread them out on like linen clothing. Rubbed out, worn out linen clothing. Uvshachke de amar gufana b'sitva. But if it's the winter, then spread them out on worn out cotton clothing. Ve'ilo, and if this doesn't work, okay, so try the next thing, which is lichre sheva bire, so then dig 7 pits, ve'likale buhu shvishta yalda de orla, okay, and then burn young grapevines, okay, like young branches from grapevines, okay, and then I guess put them in the pits. Velinkita kasa de chamra biyada, and then she takes a cup of wine in her hand. Velukma meha velosvaha, and then she sort of like sits, I guess, over one pit, and then gets up and goes to the next pit and sits on it, and then the next one. Okay, velukma meha velosvaha, and then she goes, to the next pit. Vakochada v'chada lemala kum mizovich, and then each time she goes to sit on a pit, so then we say to her, hey, stop being a zava. Ve'ilo, and if that doesn't work, laisi smida, well then take fine flour, v'lischa mipalgal satoi, and cover the bottom half of her body in fine flour, and say, stop being a zava. Ve'ilo, and if that doesn't ve'ilo, and if that doesn't work, so they say be'asa dinai misa, then take an ostrich egg, v'likle, and burn it, and v'lizba b'shachke dechitanu b'kaitu v'shachke de'amar gufanu b'sitva, and take the ash from the ostrich egg and spread it out on worn out linen clothing in the summer and on worn out cotton clothing in the winter. Ve'ilo, and if that doesn't work, liftach la chavisa dechamer lishma, give her her own give her her own barrel of wine. Meaning, I guess, like, after all these experiments, you're just like, all right, if this still isn't working, just give her a barrel of wine and, enjoy yourself. Okay, ve'ilo, and if that doesn't work, well then, linkit sarta de'mishtakachas b'chafusa dechudana chivara. Well, then things get rough. So then you got to take a barley kernel that's found in the dung of a white mule. Okay? Inakta chadyoma, and if she holds on to this barley kernel for one day, paska treyome, well then she's not going to see any dam ziva for 2 days. V'inakta treyome, and if she holds on to this barley kernel for 2 days, paska tlasa yome, well then she's not going to see any damnida for 3 days. Ve'i nakta tlasa yome paska lolam, and if she holds on to this barley kernel for 3 days, well, then she won't see any damziva forever. Wow. What do you guys say about all that stuff? I don't know. You think maybe it's just like a placebo? And it's just like, try all these things, and in the meantime, like, hopefully you'll just get better on your own. Alright. Okay, so now the Gemara, so we said earlier, the Arkona train b'shechra u'miakar, right? So we said earlier that for jaundice, so you take 2 of the ingredients from the, May Ikrin and Kos Ikrin, and you use 2 of the ingredients, you put it in beer, but there's a side effect, which is that she will become barren. Ve'ilo, and if you don't have these ingredients, or if it didn't work, or maybe if you didn't want to become barren, well then, laisi reisha de shivuta de milcha, so take the head of take the salted head of a shivuta fish, v'lishlok b'shichra, and boil it in beer, v'lishte, and drink it. Ve'ilo, and if that doesn't work, laisi monine de kamtse, wow, so then bring grasshopper brine, ve'ileka monine de kamtse, laisi monine de nikire. If you don't have grasshopper brine, you could bring some kind of brine made from a small little bird. And then take this brine with you to the bathhouse where it's very hot and steamy. And rub it on your body, and then you'll like sweat out somehow this integration between the brine and the steam of the bathhouse, the sauna, will kind of be very good for your jaundice. Ve'ileka beibani, if you don't have a bathhouse to go to, so lukme bein tanur leguda, well then you can just stand between your oven and the wall of your house. Okay? And that'll be warm enough to have the effect that you're seeking. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, arotza sheicham memenu yikanchenu b'sedino. Says Rabbi Yochanan, well, if you want somebody to get heated up, you can also just wrap him up in a sheet. Rav Acha bar Yosef choshbe ovele Rav Kaina v'itze. So Rav Acha bar Yosef had jaundice. So Rav Kahana, he wrapped him up. I guess he like brined him up and wrapped him up in a blanket. And guess what? It worked. Ve'ilo, and if this isn't gonna work out for you, so then laise tilsa kapize tamare parsiaso. So then bring 3 of these kapize of Persian dates. Ve'tilsa kapize dikira de nishtirofe. And then bring another 3 of these kapizim. Remember, these kapizim are these vessels that held in them 3 lugin. So bring another 3 kapize of wax from a very honeycomb. A honeycomb that is very full of honey. Utlasa kapize ohala tolaina. And then 3 vessels worth of red aloe. V'lishlokinu b'shichra, and then burn these items in beer. V'lishte, and drink it. V'ilo, and if that doesn't work out, they say ila bar chamra. Okay, so bring a foal epis, like a male little donkey. V'liglach mitziasa dereisha, and then give like a reverse mohawk. Kilu, you like shave just like straight down the middle of this patient, this jaundice patient. V'lishbig le dama me'apuse, and then you remove some blood from the forehead of this foal. V'los ve'areshe, and you put it on this jaundice fellow's reverse mohawk. V'lizar me'ene, but you got to be careful to make sure that the foal blood doesn't get in the eyes of our jaundice friend. V'dilo lisame, because we don't want him to get blind. Meaning it would be chaval if like the jaundice was healed, but then he became blind. So just maybe wear goggles or something like that. Okay. V'i lo, and if this doesn't work out for you, leise reisha de barcha. So take the head of a ram, dimonach bekivsha, that's been pickling, v'lishlok b'shichra, and then boil it in beer, v'lishtei, and drink that. V'i lo, and if that doesn't work out for you, leise davar acher chutrana, take a striped pig, v'likare, tear it open, v'los ve'alibe, and put it on this fellow's heart. V'i lo, and if this doesn't work, leise karse michavtusa de mishrei, and if that doesn't work, so then take the leek from the middle of the row of leeks and I guess eat that. All right, and I guess if that doesn't work, just keep on trying things and until you get healed or not. Ha'utaya, there was a certain Arab. I feel like whenever the Gemara mentions a ha'utaya, a certain Arab, it's always going to be something sneaky. Well, here we go. Ha'utaya, there was a certain Arab, the Choshbe, that he had jaundice. So Amale Leginai, so he said to a certain gardener, Shkogli mai v'avli mishra decharti. So he said to this gardener, he said, hey, I'll give you my cloak, can you give me a row of leeks? So Yoivle, so the gardener said, sure. Took the Arab's cloak in exchange for a row of leeks. Ve'achla, and the Arab ate his leeks. Amale oshlan glimech ve'igane be kali. So then the Arab said to the gardener, he said, can you give me your cloak, my cloak that is now yours, that I gave you, and I just want to sleep in it a little bit. So Ganabe and this Arab who had just eaten these leeks, and as Rashi says, because they're shtickle charif, so it'll heat him up and still sweat out all of his jaundice. So he just ate all the leeks, and now he wants to go to sleep and wrap himself up in his cloak that he just, bartered with the gardener. So now he asked the gardener if he can have that cloak back, just so that he could sleep a shtickle. So Ganabe, and he went to sleep in the cloak. And then when he got heated up from the leeks and he was sweating out everything while he slept and he got up from his sleep, well, guess what happened to his cloak? It kind of fell apart into little itty bitty pieces, and the gardener got a shtickle screwed. All right, friends, that was Daf Kuf Yud. Kind of an interesting read, right? All right, I don't know what there is really to say about Daf Kuf Yud, other than there was some interesting remedies over there. Friends, I want y'all to have a great day or a great night, a great life. Peace.